On, ladies and gents, I hope you're all doing well. It's about 8 or 9 p.m. in London, the UK. I thought I'd come on live because I've not done an agency clinic in a while. I've been doing a lot of stuff, and obviously, when you do more, you get distracted, and often you kind of lose focus slightly from things that are important, which is obviously reaching out with your audience, building your network, and hopefully providing some value to you guys and girls all across the world, wherever you're tuning in from. And what I want to cover today, it's quite an important topic, and I thought I'll talk about it today because I've been getting more and more questions around sales and what people should be doing to close more sales. Hey, Josh, nice to have you here. Thank you for tuning in. I usually do these lives in my group, so I thought let's expand the reach. Let's go live on my profile, my group, and even on YouTube itself. I'll be going live on LinkedIn soon as well because I've been approved for it. So it's going to be hopefully quite good. I do want to do more lives because there seems to be something with the Facebook algorithm that rewards it, I suppose. But you're hopefully, Josh, you're having a great day as well, a great week. I know you're somewhere in the UK as well, like myself. It's been a bit of a weird week. I mean, if you look at what's happening across the world today in the news with Russia, we've been waiting for a number of months now for them to kind of start this invasion, if you want to call it. And I think the world's woken up to something that we did not expect is going to happen. Oil prices are going up, gas prices are going up, and the impact of this is soon to be felt. But whoever is in that region of the world, I hope you all stay safe and we avoid World War III and move away from it. Anyhow, let's talk about making money, which is hopefully what you're tuning in here for. Let's talk about how you can close more sales for your agency. Now, often what I find is, and this is where it starts off for people who struggle to make sales, especially those who are new and they're stuck below $10,000 a month, or even, so those at $10,000 a month who do not actually have a proper process to close more sales, they get caught up in this. And that is the lack of homework. What I mean by that is they give a pitch, they give a sales call, a demo call to anyone and everyone who responds to them. So they might be knocking on doors through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through email marketing, whatever the channel might be. And the way they kind of position themselves, they don't qualify the people that they are getting on the phones to begin with. I'll give you an example here. Last year, before the LinkedIn limits kicked in, someone reached out to me who was sending about 300 messages a week on LinkedIn, and they were having meetings every single day. And they got to 50 meetings and they had not closed a single one, and they just could not figure out what was going wrong for them. So, when I asked them to break down their process of how they were getting people on the phone, it seemed like, once someone had connected, they were asking for a 15-minute call. Does that ring any bells for some of you guys who are kind of snooping in the cold DMs asking for 15-minute intro calls, whatever? And sometimes those calls for that guy went on to an hour long, right? So they'll start off with an intro call and then he'll kind of move it onto his pitch, and at the end of it, after he's shown people what he could do for them, they're like, well, I can't afford it, this is too expensive, or they need to think about it, or people throw all sorts of objections even when they don't have money. Very few people want to say, well, actually, I don't have the money for it. They'll come up with a couple of different excuses, which could emanate from money, or it could come from the fact that they don't trust you. So what I told him to do was actually he should, when he pitches a 15-minute call to people, he should make sure that this is just an intro call where he is sizing them up. And the couple of questions that he's asking in those 15 minutes is literally to work out whether this person should be progressed onto a sales call, should be progressed into a sales environment, because not everyone deserves a pitch, right? There's plenty of broke people out there who are going to give you the time of the day, who basically can't afford your services, right? But because they're broke and they don't know who to turn to or what to do next, they'll think that you might have a solution for them when you come knocking on their doors. So that's the first rule. Do your homework. The person that you're trying to get onto the phone with you, are they actually qualified? Are they in a position to be able to afford your services? And more importantly, are they a good fit for you? Because often you can, especially those of you who are offering lead generation as a service, people can often sign up a client who then does not bother calling the leads, and they throw the ball back into your court, where it's your fault, the fact that they're not following up with the leads after making maybe one feeble attempt to contact them, that, oh, the leads are shit now because they're not picking up the phone, or whatever the case might be. So for your own sanity, please, um, the clients that you bring on, be a bit more judicious. Don't really take on anybody for the sake of it because you want a client. Because if you take on the wrong client, they are going to drain your energy. They're going to essentially zap your energy away, and that's going to prevent you from going out and finding the right clients. Those who will elevate you, those who match your same level of energy, and who can actually help you go further. So firing a bad client is often really important as well. So coming back to the sales process, you really need to have that pre-sales step of qualifying people, whether it's through a call, whether it's asking questions on the email that they've responded to, or whether it's kind of, chatting on Messenger, exchanging messages with them there before you invite them. Yeah, absolutely, Jahad. There's no harm in saying no to a client. Often you're doing yourself a favor by saying no to someone. You're preserving your mental health these days is more important than 500 or £1,000, dollars, euros, whatever the case might be, right? That kind of money is not gonna make you rich, right? But that kind of a client can break your mindset. They can literally break you mentally. And that is a more worse outcome than not making their money to begin with, if that makes sense. Because once they slow down your machine, you're not gonna be able to go out and prospect. Your head is not going to be in it. You're not going to be able to close more clients because of this one arsehole client who you should be firing. Now, then moving on to the sales process, let's assume that you actually have a great prospect and they fit the bill, they can afford marketing, they want to invest in marketing, and they've said they're looking. Often people will say, I've actually been looking for a provider, so tell us what you've got. Sometimes they have a pitch process going on. They've got other agencies they've invited along already. Now, when you go into that sales environment with a qualified prospect, this is a big issue that I see a lot of people facing. And that comes down to your own conviction. You are saying with your tongue that you can help them, but you don't kind of feel it inside. And because you don't feel it inside, they don't feel it as well. And because they can't feel it in the air, they can't, energy has this weird power of literally going around. And if you are, feeling positive, often the people around you, you can bring up their and elevate their energy levels for them to feel positive. Whereas if you're feeling negative, it's very easy to bring people's energy levels down and get them to feel negative. It's the same with your conviction. If you don't really internally feel you know what you're doing, your client will figure that out. Now, this is why some people can go out and they can close deals with no case studies, no testimonials, no proof of concept, because they have conviction. Now, they might be very good at faking it. They might have an immense amount of charisma, but because they have the conviction that whatever system they have, or the team that is delivering the system, will always work, they can close someone whether they have a case study to show or not. And you might have 3 or 4 case studies, but because you are still not sure if you can help them because of something going in your head, the feeling of imposter syndrome or something like that, your client does not feel confident in you. So what they say is, you know what, let me think about it, or I need to speak to my business partner, or this sounds expensive. Sometimes it is expensive. That means you have failed in qualifying them before bringing them onto the sales school. But often, what an objection tends to mean is, you've not said enough for me to trust you. So, from the exchange that we have had today, I do not trust you enough to deliver the outcomes that you are promising. And that often comes back down to you not being able to convince them with conviction that what you have will work for them. Now, what can you do in that scenarios? It takes time to kind of be confident in your own skin. It takes time to be confident in your own abilities to actually sell people, to kind of get them on board in the vision that you're selling them, because that is what it is. Every pitch is of you sharing a vision and hoping that it aligns with their vision, and that is where you get congruence happening, and that's when they kind of buy into whatever that is you're pitching. And if you don't have the conviction in what you're offering, they will sense it, they will not buy from you. The second issue you're going to have on the sales call with a lot of people, or you have with a lot of people rather, and Jahad saying something, money is never guaranteed, neither is a client, so pick wisely. Who do you work with, and stick to the same routine? Don't get distracted by money. Absolutely, money is always going to be a byproduct of excellent service. There's broke people out there with money, there's good people out there with money, there's arseholes out there with money, there's people who can open 10 other doors for you out there with money. You want to make sure that you go out and you serve the right person, so that when the money comes, you feel happy getting the money, that it's not like, thank God they've paid, because they've been a right old pain in my butt this whole month. Money should never be the focus. Money is always an outcome. What you should be focused on is your own intentions and your own actions, because that is what you can control. You can control your own actions. You can't control what the overall outcome is going to be without controlling what actions you take that will take you to the ultimate revenue goal, or whatever the case might be. So one, you're letting the wrong people onto the sales call, right? You're not doing your homework, you're not pre-qualifying them, you're not discounting people. Two, when you are on a sales call with someone, you have no conviction, you cannot sell them the vision, you have no faith in yourself, right? Or you have some doubts, and that comes across. And this is an issue with newbies, which is why it's so important to work on your mindset when you are getting started in this business. Three, you talk too much, right? A sales call should be like someone going to meet their GP. They have come in and they're experiencing some sort of symptoms that is causing them pain and discomfort, and they want a prescription from you, right? The GP is not going to start talking and describing your symptoms and saying, well, you know what, I'm going to give you paracetamol or something else, or penicillin, and go away, leave me alone, here's your prescription. But what a lot of us tend to do is we start describing people's symptoms, we kind of lead them on. And then when we present the solution, when we write the prescription, they do not kind of buy into the prescription, because they've not been taken on that journey of diagnosis. So when you are in a sales environment, whether it's a strategy call or a demo, you need to be asking questions and listening to what your prospects are describing as their pain points, okay? Because when they talk to you about pain, what they are revealing to you is their buying criteria, okay? So how that would work is, when you do go back and you kind of reflect on the symptoms they have described, what you would talk about is, okay, you have an issue with this that you want to resolve, our system resolves it by doing Y. You have a issue here, and our system resolves this by doing Z, or whatever your offer is. And you've got an issue here, and here's the medication that is going to help you with that symptom. So you literally take everything that they have said and you provide a solution to that. Now, once you've done that, what you have really done is you have met the buying criteria. because the buying criteria is always going to be, what prescription am I going to get from you that is going to take away my pain? And by making note of their pain, by writing down everything that is an issue, and a big symptom for them, and then catering your pitch. Obviously, your pitch is still your pitch, but then you literally need to take a minute to say, this is your issue, this is your issue, this is your issue, and this is how we're going to fix these issues through this offer that I have, right? You don't lead with the offer first. The offer is the solution to their pain. You just need to repeat what their pain, what their pain is, so that they know you've been listening. And you need to repeat how your offer will take that pain away. I hope that makes sense. If that makes sense, drop a comment below. And if you're watching this on replay, by the way, hit replay, drop a replay in the comments box. So, and when you're talking about sales, often what it comes down to is a lack of communication. It is a lack of clarity in how you can help someone. That is what it comes down to. Now, trust is an issue, right? People are often worried about whether you can deliver what you're saying you're going to deliver, and unless you've got a huge pitch deck with 5, 6, 10 testimonials from people who you've helped with a similar situation, who you've helped uh, overcome the same pain, selling is not going to be that seamless, especially for those of you who are starting out, or for those of you below 10K, even some of you below 20K who do not have a process, a scalable process to sell to your audience over and over again. Until you have that process written down, you're not going to have confidence in the process. You're not going to have a flow that you can go through with people and it works, 5 out of 10 times, or you have a 30% close rate, or whatever the case might be. So let's talk about trust. Let's assume you have the right prospect in the room. You have conviction in what you're pitching. You've got some of the case studies, or you might have no case studies, but you have knowledge. And you can demonstrate knowledge because you have acted like the doctor. You have given them that consultation where you've made note of their symptoms, and then you have presented a prescription that deals with their symptoms, and you've got an amazing offer. You've got an amazing service that will take away all of their pains, that will help them reach their goal, whether it's getting that revenue, whatever the case might be. But there still is that trust barrier, because people don't buy. 90% of the time, it comes down to trust. I do not trust you enough. So you need to think about, okay, you know what? How can I overcome the trust barrier? And you need to place that on the table in the meeting, right? They will not tell you, I don't trust you. People are too polite. They will say stuff like, I need to think about it. I need to speak to someone, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you know they're the right prospect and they've got the money, how I turn that around is, I will ask something like, hey, Mark, good to see you here. But I'm not pitching Mark here. Let's say I'm pitching Mark. What I will say is, hey, Mark, okay, I've been through the presentation with you. I've, went through how this will address your specific problems, the pains that you have right now in your business, with your lead generation. And, I'm sure from what you've seen, this all makes sense, and you feel confident that this will work for you. And they'll probably like, yeah. I would then turn around and say, okay, you're saying you need to think about it. However, I know from past experience what that means is I have not established enough trust to win your business as of this moment. What can I do? Here are the magic words. What can I do for us to leave this meeting with an agreement in principle? What can I do for you so that we can make a deal right now? And that is when they will probably open up and they will say, okay, I'm not entirely sure about the system, or I'm not comfortable with the terms. Sometimes our terms are saying you need to pay your invoice up front, or you need to pay 50% up front, or whatever the case might be. And people are not comfortable. How do you reverse the risk? so that they can trust you in that situation. If it's that, oh, I don't want to pay up front if I'm going to go into an agreement with you right now. I want to pay you at the end of the month. So you can turn around and say, fine, wait for us to deliver the service and then we'll invoice you. If we do not deliver and take away the pain, or we don't help you hit that goal, you do not owe us a single cent at the end of the 30 days. Now, however, you need to be measured in your approach. If there is going to be a setup cost on your side, if there is going to be any costs that you need to bear, often you might ask, okay, you know what? Give us 10% of the balance now, because I have costs on my side. And then the remaining 90% you can pay when you are satisfied with the service. And then close the question. How does that sound? Right? You want to move them towards a yes. Don't ask an open-ended question there. And I'll tell you, every single time when I've had the right prospect in the room and I have asked that question, they have left that call with an agreement, right? I need to speak to my partner, went away. I need to think about it, went away. Because here's the thing, most people are not going to go away and think about it. They're going to, forget about it. There's so much going on. There's so much distractions. If they have come to you because they were pitched via an email, they're going to get off the call and they're going to see the next shiny object come their way. So you need to kind of, from even a psychological perspective, get a commitment from them in that meeting, even if no money is exchanging hands, even if they're not meeting your standard payment terms, right? And your standard payment terms, and for us, it is you're going to pay up front, right? Our invoice is due as soon as we issue it. But for the right people, and this is why doing your homework is so important, we will delay it. We will say, fine, let's see how things run for 2 weeks, and then we'll issue you the invoice then. Or let's run with things for now, and you will get the invoice at the end of the month. Now, this approach works where you're providing a tangible end result, if that makes sense. So this works if you're running, paid ads as a service and you have promised leads, or you've promised e-commerce sales or something like that. This approach doesn't necessarily work where you are providing a service where the impact cannot be quantified immediately. So that might be for selling SEO, or that might be when you're selling organic social media services, etc. But I know a lot of you are trying to build lead generation agencies, which is why I'm giving you this tactic here. Anyhow, if you have any other comments or suggestions, drop them in the comments below. It's always great to bounce ideas with people, because here's the thing. There is no right or wrong answer here. When you're trying to close more sales, the best thing that you could do is literally be aware of how you are presenting yourself. Record your sales calls. See, often when you go back to review a call, you can hear when there's a disconnect with the prospect and they drop off, or their demeanor changes, or whatever the case might be. Learn what is triggering people in a good way, and also negatively, because there are good triggers. People get giddy, their eyes go wide, right? When you are saying the right things and when you are connecting with them at a deeper level, where you are owing them, you can see the physiological changes in their body, in their face. You can also sense it in their voice. Same with when you're losing them. So that's the parts that you need to fix, because at the end of the day, sales is a process that you need to continuously tweak and optimize until you get to a point where I can teach this to someone and take myself out of the sales process, because I know if they approach it this way, and it does, and it doesn't matter if the person has a brilliant amount of charisma or if they don't have a lot of charisma, that if they actually go through the script and they do the diagnosis properly, they elicit pain in the prospect, and then they explain how they take away the pain, that 7 out of 10 times they're going to get a sale. That is when you can pass it on to someone and you can delegate it and focus more on being the agency CEO and working on your business rather than in your business. Anyway, I hope you guys and girls, or whoever's watching, have found some value. I will be trying to do more lives. But if there's any other content that you want me to cover, please leave them the suggestions in the comments below. And if there's no other questions, thank you so much for Josh, Jahed, Mark, Tyler, who have commented. I hope you have great weeks, and I will catch up with you guys and the rest of you very soon.